guys, welcome to Cloud Grow channel. In today's lecture, we're going to talk about one of the basic functionality of Azure, which is called Bastion service. Bastion is actually a service which allows you to access to any VM which you provision in Azure, remote desktop or SSH without going over the internet. So basically what it does is when you're provisioning a VM, you have the option. You can provision a public interface on the VM, and that public interface will mean that you have an internet IP available on that particular machine. But some organizations, and again, because of the security best practices, it's highly recommended that you should not expose your VMs, especially the VM with the critical and sensitive information to the internet directly. So to overcome that, security flaw with the public interface on the VMs, what we can do is that we can actually deploy a Bastion service on Azure, and through that Bastion service, we can access the particular VM, whether it's a Windows machine or whether it's a Linux machine, without assigning a public interface to that particular VM machine. So essentially, in this demo, we will see that we can provision a Windows machine like a Windows 2016 server, and we will not allow any public interface on that particular machine. Then we will provision a Bastion service. We will associate the Bastion service to the VNet, which contains that particular VM. And through Bastion service, we will access through the RDP, and we would be able to access the particular VM which does not have a public interface, but it has only private interface, but it can still access through Bastion service. So let's jump into the demo. It's basic functionality of Azure, and you must know how to use and deploy Bastion service to access your VMs, whether this is a Windows machines or a Linux machine, without assigning a public interface to the particular VM. So let's go. So as you can see, we have one VNet in our environment, and it has a subnet as well, as you can see, 10.1.1.0.4. So basically the Bastion has to be associated with a particular VNet. So when you're actually creating a Bastion service, you have to associate with your particular VNet. As you can see on the VNet, if you can go down, you will see that there is a blade called Bastion blade, and that's where you can provision or deploy a Bastion. So let's go and configure manually. The resource group is fine. We can call it Bastion service. But you will see that when we are going to deploy one, it will ask you to have a Bastion subnet, and that Bastion subnet should be at least /26. So let's go and create a Bastion subnet first. Azure Bastion subnet to be /26. You can say that. So we can say Azure Bastion subnet. We can again give let's standard 1 to 10 /26 /26 24 will be too big. We can give only small subnet 10.1.10.0/26, and that's we're going to add subnet first. So we got the Azure Bastion subnet here. So now we'll go back to the Bastion again, and we can call it Bastion 1 East US region. There are different tiers of Bastion are available, but we'll go with the standard tier, and we will associate with the VNet 1, and it's automatically picked up the subnet. It's very important that the name of the subnet has to be exactly the same Azure Bastion subnet, and it can be /26 or bigger subnet. Now, it needs to have a public IP. This is the IP which is going to be exposed over the internet, and we always go through that particular public IP to access the VM which are behind the Bastion service. So I'm creating a new one because I don't have a public IP address, so I'll go with the create new option. And here the different options are available. If you want to allow copy paste, you can enable the copy paste. You can also enable the cross authentication. You can also enable the shareable link Some organizations don't like the option of creating a shareable link for the Bastion service because of security reasons. So let's go and create this Bastion service for us. So Bastion deployment takes almost 20 to 30 minutes. So I'll pause the video and we will come back once the deployment is complete and we go from there. So as you can see, the deployment is started. We'll wait for Bastion deployment to complete. Then we come back and deploy a VM without a public IP, and then we will access the VM through Bastion service. So let's wait. I'm going to pause the video and then we'll come back once the deployment to Bastion is complete. While our Bastion deployment is still going on, let's go and deploy a virtual machine. I'm going to deploy in the East US region. I'll call it server 1. I don't require any availability option, so I don't require any infrastructure redundancy. I'll go with standard option and I will select Windows 2016 Data Center Edition. And you can specify the size. So let's go for selecting the size. I'll go with B2S. Okay, and then the username. So username will go with the okay. I'm setting a username here. Okay, and I'm actually not allowing any public inbound port. So that means that there is no public inbound port that will be allowed. And let's select the disk. I'll go with the standard HDD for this demo. Okay, networking. So as you can see, it's going to VNet 1 management subnet, and we are not allowing any public IP on this one. As you can see, there is no public. We should not select any public IP on this one. So this VM will be deployed with the private IP only. Okay, and nothing else required for this demo. And I'm going to deploy this VM. So right now, our Bastion is actually being deployed, and we are now deploying our VM as well. So I'll pause the video. Till that time, the both of the deployments will be completed. I'll come back and I will show you how we can access the VM without having it exposed to the internet using Azure Bastion service. So as you can see, our deployment of both the Bastion service and the VM is complete. So let's go to the VM first and let's see the VM has any public IP or not, just to make sure what is the network configuration of this server. So when you go to the networking, you will see that it has let's go an overview, right? So as you can see here, this is the Windows machine deployed here, and you can see here that we have only a private IP here. There's no public IP on this particular machine. Now this particular machine right now, the private IP, you cannot access it unless you put a private VPN and connect through the private VPN to this machine, or you can access through Bastion service which we have already deployed. So let's go back to our VM server 1, and now if you click on connect, you have the two options. This option, the first option, will give you the RDP access. You have to download the RDP key and then you're going to connect, but this will not work here in this case of this particular VM because this doesn't have any public IP associated with it. So we have to go the second option, which is connect through Bastion. And in the Bastion you have multiple options. You can if you have configured AKV or Azure Key Vault in your environment, you can actually save your password in the AKV as well. In our case, we don't have AKV, we can go with simple password, and we put the same password which we actually used in configuring our VM when we deployed it. So let's try to connect, and as you can see, it is connecting the machine, the VM, through Bastion service. So it's a very useful service. Right now the VM doesn't have any public interface. It is not connected directly to the internet, but you can still access this VM with using Azure Bastion service. It's very important that the Bastion is actually associated to the whole VNet, So once you associate a Bastion with a VNet, you can access all the VMs in that VNet. Hopefully you like this video. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel and I will see you in my next video. Thanks a lot for watching.